Welcome to 561 Music. My name's Ben.
And I'm Hector.
How are you, Hector?
I'm doing okay today.
Yeah, let's hear about it. Come on.
A little bit of a back incident this weekend. We went to Riverhawk Festival up in Brookville. Just stupid, man. Dropped my phone, went to pick it up, and that was it. My back gave out.
Yeah.
Right.
I tell you what, though, you were a trooper.
Right.
We went through like 2 days, 2 gigs, and you could barely even move at all.
We still had two full sets to play on the stage there, and you guys literally set me up and did my sound check and handed me my bass, and then I just stood perfectly still and played.
And I know what you're like.
Sucked.
I know you hate people doing stuff for you, and you like to be chipping in. So I know it was doing your head in, but it was fine. We were happy to do it.
It was the worst. It was the worst.
Yeah, but it was a fun time. Apart from that, wasn't it? We had a great time up there.
Oh, it was a fantastic festival.
We stayed in this insane place that was like a mid-century modern. You were telling me about it. I think we talked about it last week on the podcast.
Yeah.
You were telling me all about it, and I thought you were exaggerating, but we got there and it was like a time capsule.
It was like somebody plucked this place out of 1955 and dropped it there. Pristine condition. Like, it's not like it was left abandoned since then. It's like all the attention to detail. I would open like a kitchen cabinet, and there was like utensils and things still wrapped from like the Sears catalog tags and stuff. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Ridiculous.
Had that tiny little fridge and the sort of iron fridge there, and one of those old TVs, and you can't even plug an old TV in anymore.
No, it was pretty wild.
It was wild.
Yeah. I got one more quick thing.
Yeah.
Before we move on to our main attraction tonight. So when this drops, it'll be midnight. So it's actually Friday, which is actually your birthday. So a little something for you for your birthday. I know you're a Star Trek freak. So
You got Star Trek stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I'm such a nerd. You got me a Borg cube. Oh, that's perfect. A Borg cube deluxe mega kit. What even is that?
I don't even know, but it lights up and makes sound. So I thought that was that works for me.
That's awesome. And what's this guy?
I figured that you can tear the sleeves off and bleach like you do with all your shirts, and it would be an amazingly incognito nerd shirt.
Oh, that's amazing. Starfleet Academy. So this is, anyone who doesn't know about Star Trek, this is the Starfleet Academy in Star Trek. So pretty cool. Oh my God, and you got me some stickers too?
Yeah, I came with a shirt.
I don't know what happened. 5 years ago, I didn't care a thing about Star Trek, and all of a sudden I've just been taken by this obsession. So thank you very much.
It's America, baby.
That's so kind. Thanks, man.
Yeah, you got it, man. Happy birthday, man.
Appreciate it, dude.
All right, let's move on to our guests today.
Yeah, we have Brian Trew and Brian Bolen from Uproot Hootenanny. How's it going, guys?
Good, man.
Doing well.
Welcome.
Doing well. Thanks.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for coming.
And we're not brothers, just saying.
Or twins.
Brothers from other mothers.
There you go.
So we Killbillies and you guys have been we play a lot of the same places, and once in a blue moon, especially back in the day, we used to play the same like festivals and things like that.
Yeah.
We've been rubbing along kind of next to each other for years and years and years, and I always sort of looked to you guys as people who are really doing it properly, and always sort of really respected you guys. So I'm really glad to have you on. It's awesome.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
We got somebody fooled anyway.
That's what it's all about, I think. Well, most of it is smoke and mirrors, the music industry.
I know. I saw you guys had a banjo, and I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Because when we started, it was me and Micah, and that's kind of and then our first bassist Luke. And that's kind of when I think we sort of used to see each other the most back in like 2012.
Yeah, you guys were a trio, right?
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah, and then we broke up for a couple of years, and I put the band back together, and then we bumped into each other at Crazy Uncle Mike's the other month, didn't we?
Yeah, you were doing a solo thing.
Yeah, that's it.
It was awesome.
Yeah, and so then now we're doing this podcast. I thought it was a perfect excuse to have you guys over for a chat.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a few questions. The first one is I'll ask you, Brian T. Why did you start playing music, and what were the early kind of experiences and influences surrounding that? Like, do your parents play? Like, what were they listening to? What was the kind of what was the vibe like when you were a kid and growing up? Yeah.
So definitely musical family. Like my mom, she played piano as a kid, but my mom's brother, my uncle, he plays electric guitar. He's an incredible electric guitar player. He actually is he was a carpenter. He built sailboats, built airplanes, just really good with wood, and he actually built the fiddle that I was, I'm playing now.
That's amazing.
And just every weekend he would play at Pineapple Joe's, a little honky tonk bar in Fort Pierce, and we'd go watch him play, and just watching him, I was like, oh man, this is what I want to do. And then in middle school, I was lucky enough to have orchestra offered, and so I picked viola because it was different,
Sure.
and nobody else wanted to play it. So and then later on switched to fiddle in college or
Right.
violin in college. But yeah, just basically all the family kind of. My dad's side, my dad can't really play anything, not even the radio. Like, he plays a bit of
Gramophone.
bugle. Yeah, the bugle. I played the bugle, in the Royal Air Force. And it's
Your
terrible.
dad's English, right?
He's very English, yeah.
Yeah, cool. We were talking about that the other day. I think both our dads are from Essex, which is
Yeah,
pretty cool.
just down the street. Yeah, you said your dad's from Brentwood.
Yeah.
My dad's from Basildon, but he was
cool.
born. The hospital was in Brentwood, so
That's
yeah,
awesome.
pretty crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've been over to like the UK and Ireland a lot, right?
Yeah, been to obviously UK growing up, but we've never played as a band in the UK, but we've been to Ireland more times than we can count. Just probably
That's
used to go at
awesome.
one point we were going like 2 or 3 times a year, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's so great. What kind of circuits do you do when you go there? Like, where are you playing?
I thought you said what kind of circus.
That's exactly.
You don't even know.
Well, it's kind of a
Uproot Hootenanny
circus, right?
You got to make posters of that.
Well, heck, we started going there probably like 15 years ago, and didn't have any gigs lined up. Just had some friends invite us, and we just brought our instruments, played in pubs, and then
Right.
heck, we probably started the band a few years after that. So we didn't really pick up gigs until we got the band going,
Right.
and then we play anywhere from pubs to festivals.
Have you ever been to Galway?
Yeah,
Did
Oh,
you
yeah.
play at the Roisin Dub?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool place.
Yeah, we played there a couple
Yeah,
times.
I played there with my punk band, but years ago.
Did they have the apartment that you guys used to see?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
That's a
awesome.
fun spot. Yeah.
Yeah, we had that. At the time we were playing with Hermitage Green, another band, and so there was probably like 12, 13 guys, and that
Are they Irish or?
yeah,
like,
they're from Ireland, and we were supporting them, and I think it only houses like 8 people, that apartment.
Right.
So my dad decided to. My dad was like our tour manager back in the day because he knew how to drive on that side of the road.
Yeah.
And he booked us in a hostel literally
That
right
was the
around the
qualifier.
corner. And he books it. We're in the pub and he comes in and he goes, "Oh, mate, I booked you in some pretty dodgy spots, but this is probably the dodgiest."
That's great. Was it?
Oh, my God, man. That's probably the worst one we've been in, yeah.
That's hilarious.
But it was literally right down the street, so you think it's a nice place, kind of that area,
Yeah.
and Galway is pretty nice. But
Yeah.
no, it was not too nice, but that was one of the experiences. But there's, Ireland's amazing. The people are so nice there. And
Yeah, absolutely. I always sort of think it, I have a little bit of a kind of insecurity surrounding that because, I play a lot of Irish music and bluegrass and all that, and I'm an English guy, But like, I think I've been doing it long enough at this point where I've sort of, I've come to terms with it myself, and it doesn't really bother me when people quiz me about it,
Right, right.
At the beginning, though, it was weird because I didn't really know what to say. It's like, why are you playing Irish music if you're English? And eventually, I just realized the answer was because I like it. Leave me alone. You know?
Yeah. And it depends where you are and who you're with. I mean, we played a show where we opened with Tom Tum, and it's kind of it's an Irish sounding instrumental, and then about halfway through, we kind of play 4/4 bluegrass.
Yeah.
And the band came up to us like, you might not want to open with that one next time because these people have heard that kind of stuff 1,000 times over.
Yeah.
And then a couple nights later, we're down in Bandon and they want to hear, Irish Rover and
Really?
yeah, it was like
That was something I was really curious about. Is like when you go to Ireland, do you like play Irish songs, and I guess the answer is
I mean,
sometimes.
but how many times have we had
Yeah.
sing-alongs and like?
yeah.
where,
Oh, no, late night. But if we're
yeah.
playing our set, they want to kind of hear the American stuff. But
Sure.
at the end of the night, everybody wants to sing. They're like, sing song. And I agree with you. Like, I felt the same way growing up, too. Like, my dad really loved Celtic music. Like, our whole family, our last name is Trew, and so it's Cornwall and it's Celtic.
Yeah.
And so, like, while I was in high school, we started a little Celtic band, and my dad took us to Ireland when we were, like, 16. And I was playing bodhrán, and there's, we had a fiddle player, guitar. My brother played Irish flute. And so I kind of had the same identity crisis, too. I'm like, well, I'm not really Irish.
Yeah.
and I know I'm pretty English and American, but I love this music, so why not? You know? Like,
Yeah, I get
kinda did
asked at every gig, and so it really, I had to kind of figure out how I felt about it. And here's the thing: my dad's mother is straight up 100% Irish, so
Yeah,
it's like
so you
it's
got it in
whatever.
there, yeah.
And I could get an Irish passport if I wanted to.
Yeah.
So, but and it says ultimately, it's just like only really problematic if you start sort of like pretending you're someone you're not.
Yeah.
And like a sort of adopting politics that are weird or something like that.
Yeah.
I think just when it comes to the music,
Right. It's a
fine.
great tune. Yeah.
Yeah,
we always
exactly.
tell Ben, just don't worry about it, man. I mean, he's English, worried about playing Irish music, and his bandmates are Italian and Cuban, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Or like we'll be in an Irish pub, they're like rebel songs. We're like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do here.
Sure.
Do you play any of those?
No, I don't. Just because I don't know any.
Right.
I like them. Yeah, they're fine.
There's the one that I kind of every now and again we know it, but one time I got in trouble playing is "Come Out You Black and
Yeah,
Tans."
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, we because it's such a banger. It's such a cool song.
It is cool.
Like we
Especially-
learned how to play it, and we do play it every now and again. But there was this one time at the Square Grouper when a guy who used to be in the British Army and was stationed in Ireland came up to me and was like, "Why are you playing that?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, it's a good question. Why am I playing? It can make me feel awful, actually."
Yeah. It's strange, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So, because you can, you can divorce the politics from the music, especially here,
Yeah.
and just sort of see it as music. But with especially like a song like that, I mean, they're intertwined. You can't,
Yeah.
it is.
Right,
what it
It's
is.
a good tune. Yeah.
Yeah, but so yeah, I don't know. I found myself in a bit slightly dodgy situations with that in the past, and so I generally just stick to the stuff that's not about that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's just drink whiskey and
Yeah.
talk about those songs.
Exactly. Yeah. So Brian B.
B.
When you were growing up, what was your kind of situation? Do your parents musicians? Or?
No, not really. My parents, the music they listened to was like in car rides. I remember Kenny Rogers and
Right.
I don't know, Neil Diamond. I grew up in New Jersey,
Okay.
and we didn't have country music. It
Right.
was like totally different. I have an older brother, about 2 years older than me. He was into music.
Yeah.
Helped push me towards like Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. And, but yeah, I got into playing music when I was about 10 years old, and I heard my neighbor playing the intro to Sweet Child of Mine on his front porch.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was the first time I was like, this regular guy that I hang out with can play. I thought you had to be a rock star to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Funny enough, I got a guitar for Christmas that year, and I never learned that riff to this day. But that's what kind of made me look to play guitar, and I started playing that December.
I think that riff is responsible for a lot of people learning how to play guitar.
Right.
I remember the first time I heard it. Yeah, it was a big one for sure. Like, so yeah, but do you play anything else other than guitar?
Just a few of the strings instruments I'll dabble in, upright bass. When we started Uproot Hootenanny, I was playing bass, and I messed around on the mandolin a little bit, but pretty much stick to guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're really good at it, so I don't blame you. So when you guys write, is there one of you like more of a writer than the others, A, and B, like what, do you have a process of any kind?
Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, our banjo player, he and Brian, you guys kind of really got together and wrote the majority of all the originals. And then they would bring it to kind of the table, and we'd kind of go from there. But, yeah, I mean, you would come up with a hook usually. Or
Yeah,
like Dave would come up with something, and you'd be like, it needs a hook, and you'd be the hook guy.
I love writing with people, yeah, and Dave and I, we love doing that. He likes explaining where his idea comes from, and he might have a chorus, he might have one verse or something, and we come up with changes in the bridge, and that's how we did Broward County Line, and a bunch of others, Why I Drink, and yeah, I just love doing that, and even some of the stuff that you would bring over, like the instrumentals, you would have the melody, and I'd put chords behind it, and
Yeah, and then like you were saying, Tom Tum, like we come up with this. I had this like Irish jiggy thing kind of going on, and then the guys would be like, "Man, it'd be really cool if we kind of did it like in 4/4," and then it comes into the whole thing, and you're just like, "I never even thought of that," like things like that, which is kind of cool. But Dave would go in these kind of like he would write like a ton of songs at one time, and then just bring them all on the table, and then not write. You guys wouldn't write for a while, but then it'd come back around. I guess it's everybody though. You know, you go through these things.
Yeah, I definitely get these kind of fertile periods where I tend to write like 3 or 4 songs that are quite similar to each other. It's like, you know, all part of just generally almost like the same idea,
right?
You know, and then I kind of dry up for a little bit, and then something else will inspire me. But yeah, the last time was about 3 months ago, and again, I wrote like 3 songs. And, you know, out of that, I probably end up sort of ultimately keeping like one of them, you know, because they're all kind of the same song.
Right. Yeah. Which one kind of has a cool hook to it.
Yeah, but the other thing we do is like Hector comes up with ideas sometimes, and then he just brings them to the rehearsal, like guitar ideas, and it's like, I got this, you know, like, and then I have a phone full of lyrics, and we just try and shoehorn my lyrics into it and see what we can come up with.
Right.
Yeah.
You just start scrolling through the lyrics, and which one of these are going to fit that too?
This one.
Yeah. I find that when we're recording stuff or in the process of recording, we're a lot more efficient when it comes to writing. Almost like we write out of necessity. Like when we were making our first album, we were learning to record. We recorded ourselves, so we didn't really know what we were doing. Yeah. And we had this song that we called Hootenanny Blues, and it was basically, you know, it was us just verses about making fun of each other, why we're so bad at playing. And then the hook was, that's why I drink, that's why I booze. And we're like, well, heck, we got this recording equipment. Let's change the lyrics so it's not just about us, and let's make a song out of it, you know? And that's one of our more requested songs. Yeah. Same thing with, you know, the 5 Shots of Whiskey and Off We Go. It was like we had this album, our 3rd album, and it was like, you know, we need a kind of a sing-along, kind of a, you know, we don't have a good drinking song on this one that we need. Yeah. And so we, you know, same idea kind of. We put it together in a day, you know, like really quick. Yeah. And on the other side, same thing. That was on our first album, and I was like, I have this recording gear I don't even know how to use. Right. And I'm like, let's write a song and record it and see what happens. And it was like, cool. You know, I feel like it works out. So you've been like doing some home, you do it at home, do you? Well, we rented a spot, we walked into a place, we were looking for a place to store our gear and maybe practice, and this place had already been changed into a recording studio. Plexiglass window, had all wood paneling, it had a shower and a bathroom, and you know, at the time we were paying like $500 a month for it. It was crazy. It was like so nice. So we did our albums there, and then we went to Power Station Studios. Yeah, that's when No Name Recorded. I've been in there. Right, yeah. That was for our most recent CD. We did that. Yeah, cool. Yeah, what do you think of that place? It's pretty awesome, isn't it? Yeah, it's great, man. Those guys are so cool. And that slotted pine that they have the walls. What's the guy? Is it called Tony Bon Jovi? Is that it? The guy who designed that? Yeah. And they used to have that other spot in Port St. Lucie as well. You remember the Avalon Studios? We haven't
been there, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, I used to go up there before my home studio was any good. I used to go up there to record demos every now and again. And it's basically like a little satellite. It's the same. It has the same slotted pine walls and everything.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was neat. I think they stopped. I think it's still there, but I think now they just do like acoustics consulting. I think they've stopped having bands coming. Right. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, Power Station. Cool spot. Big up Power Station. Yeah. What we did with the last No Name Ska band, I'm also in this punk band called No Name Ska Band. What we did with that band is I recorded nearly all of the stuff at my house, but then we had them mix the drums and send us just like a completely mixed drum track because like they got all that really nice outboard gear, and that's the hardest thing really. If you know with a rock band is getting the drums right, you know.
I would have no idea. But
I think
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. I think probably in this kind of thing, and like roots music and bluegrass and stuff, is getting the double bass rights that I like that, you know, getting all the tones in that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Being sneaky, that's nice.
Very subtle.
Yeah. Nice cover
up. So, when it comes to your own sort of personal musicianship, do you still practice?
I teach a lot, so
really? Okay.
I teach violin, guitar, ukulele. So I pretty much from like 2:30 to 7 every day doing that. So when I do practice, it's mostly guitar, like mandolin. I rarely just practice fiddle at the house. I wish I did more of it, but I just doing it so much during the day. Yeah, it's kind of like, man, I don't really want to. But if I'm practicing at home, I'm usually just playing guitar or mandolin because I love those instruments. But I need to practice more. I'd say that.
I don't think there's many people out there who can say that they don't need to practice more. And what about you, Brian? You still practice?
You know,
Brian's got to take care of his fish.
I'm very busy with the fish tanks.
He's got 17 fish tanks in his house.
Not that many, but I'll get there someday.
That's awesome.
Saltwater?
Yeah.
Oh, he's into it, man.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's pretty cool.
That's a big job, isn't it? You know, keeping it right.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, and I'm fairly new to it, so
Right.
I just, you know.
For years, I had a 95-gallon tank with all sorts of like way more expensive than they needed to be fish and corals and stuff like that. And it was cool and it was fun. And then we had a hurricane and the power was out for a week and everything died. So now I have a 35-gallon BioCube or a 30-gallon BioCube, and it's all self-contained, and I pretty much just feed the fish. I do nothing.
Yeah.
I just wipe the glass every now and then.
Yeah.
And it
I
just
have
does.
a 16-gallon BioCube.
Yeah.
And it's because I always wanted to get into saltwater fish tanks, so I got it as a Christmas gift last year, and a 47-gallon. And then I didn't really do my research. I was kind of listening to people, asking them questions, so I killed everything. Every time I put a fish in there, I felt like I was sending a chimpanzee to the moon to see how long it lived, you know? I was like, I'll give this one a week and see what happens, you know? So everything was dying, so I was like, you know what, I saw a BioCube on, Craigslist or one of those. I was like, let me grab that, see if I could do it myself the right way from the beginning. And shortly after I got that, someone said, hey, I got a friend of a friend that has a 150-gallon tank with all kinds of anemones and corals and livestock, free. Wants to get rid of everything, you know. And I mean, it must be $10,000 worth of stuff in there. So I was like,
it's not cheap.
Needless to say, we can't close the laundry room door anymore. But the pub in my house looks great with fish tanks.
The Lantana Aquarium.
Yeah. Start charging money.
That's awesome.
I had to kick the dogs out to the backyard.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Anyway, so he doesn't really practice because he's going to take
he's overwhelmed by fish.
You know, I feel like we learn songs when we have to, and you might learn like, fiddle tunes or something new. You'll work that out. But I'd say on a regular basis, no.
Yeah.
We do play a lot, so it's, practice for us might be at a gig where it's
But
like,
you'd be the one that like brings a new tune to. You're like, dude, all right, I heard this. Let's
constantly
do this.
have things working and stuff like that.
Way more than
now
anybody else.
back when we pre-COVID, when we were really busy playing and pushing for more festivals, more traveling, we would get together weekly as a band, and we'd spend about a half hour just talking about our schedule coming up, and then we'd spend like a half hour to an hour just going through a new song or fixing what went wrong from the last one. And that was probably the most productive period for us when we got together, because you could have something you want to talk about with your bandmates, something happened at a gig, but you never want to bring it up at a gig and say, So you were like, let's wait till we get together. But we would do it. We get together every week, and we'd be like, hey, you can't throw the cooler across the parking lot, Dave. You can't be doing that next week. And we'd air it out, and it just helped everything. So we had that time together where it's like we could practice. Like, hey, what harmony are you singing there? Because I'm not sure it was right. And we'd work that stuff out. And you have to meet to do that, though. It's hard to do that on stage or anything. So that was practice for us.
Yeah, for sure. We try and practice on Thursdays. It's kind of like Thursdays unless anything else is happening.
Right. That's the other thing.
Right.
One little thing.
Yeah.
How often are you guys playing? I mean, are you playing pretty much all the week, every weekend, or?
Yeah, Thursday through Sunday.
Sunday.
Me and him the band's probably 3 times a month.
Okay.
The full band.
Post-COVID, we kind
How
of
many of you guys are there on stage these days?
4.
normally 4 these days. Yeah.
Okay. What's the instrumentation? Who are the guys? Who have we got?
OJ from the Resolvers. Do you know him? Smith.
I don't think we've met.
He plays cajon, and then
Cajon,
Nico
cool.
plays bass with us, and also our original basser Chris Benelli, but he's on a road trip.
Okay.
He's coming back. And then, that's pretty much the solid 3 or the 4.
Yeah,
Cool.
post-COVID, our bass player, full-time Chris, he just kind of tricked out his van so we could sleep in it and travel across the country. And he just,
wow.
he just went and did it, and good for him. And he's loving it. He's having a good
kinda
time.
awesome.
That's
Right. And,
He's got a
and-
cool
little jealous.
Instagram-
and a good time to do it
Instagram
because
page,
we started picking up these weekly gigs as a duo, sometimes a trio. So we were all just feeling out how this was going to work after COVID shut down.
sure.
So he's like, you know what? How about I just take off? And he just took off, and he's out in Colorado, California, Nevada, all over the place. And he'll be back for Thanksgiving. So hopefully we get to talk to him and see what
We have a couple
what his
shows
ideas
lined
are
up
coming
anyway,
up because. we'd like to get some more momentum going, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Because we would get calls to do gigs, and we're like, well, we got to make sure he can make it, make sure they can make it. And we're like, you know, let's just, you know,
the more
ride it
people
out.
you add to a band, the more difficult it gets in every respect.
Yeah.
But
100%.
but also it sounds better, so you know it's a toss up. The bass player that was in the band before Hector joined, Zach, also headed off across the country in a van, which is quite weird.
Just
Happened to our bass player as well.
Why are bass players? Bass players are just the weirdest bunch.
Yes, we are.
Just so weird, man.
Yeah.
Everybody says drummers, but no, it's bass players are just so
I meant to
odd.
tell you, Ben, I bought a van, and I might be going somewhere. I don't know where.
That's awesome. So yeah, you guys have got 3 albums, right?
Yeah.
Have you got any plans to make a 4th?
Yeah, I mean, we just
Been
did that, the song Hang Up Your Spurs in Heaven. That would be on there. And then Brian's got probably 3 or 4 kind of right there finished.
Yeah.
Right.
Love to, you know.
Cool.
We started, you know, again during lockdown, and it just proved to be too much of a stress on everybody. And
Right.
you know, we didn't know if we could shake hands or, you know, we're like walking the same door. It just was weird, and it wasn't working, you know. So we kind of just shelved that project, and then but we do have songs ready to go, and I got a lot of pieces of songs that I'm just waiting, because when we get in that recording mood, it's like I know they're going to come out, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Have you guys got kids?
I do.
Right.
I have a 7-year-old, and I got another one coming in January.
Gotcha. Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Smart
Hector
move
is
at
the only
43.
the one in our band who has kids at the moment. Me and James are still no kids. But yeah, I imagine that kind of complicates
Oh, for
band
sure.
life. You know.
Yeah, and he was born during COVID, so it was like
Oh wow.
it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because we weren't traveling as much, and like I could be home with her when she was pregnant, and then he came, and so I got to be there. Otherwise, I'd probably be in Ireland. You know, like we were planning on being in Ireland literally the month before he was supposed to come, and he came early. So, but yeah, it's been good in that respect as far as like family time. But yeah, Mitch, and you know, like I want him to be able to see me on stage for sure. Like his son came out. The 7-year-old came out to the festival this week, got on stage with us, sang some John Prine songs,
What?
got to get the whole experience, got the artist lanyard.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
cool.
pretty awesome.
he was stoked. So I'd love that. You know, I'd love to be on a stage. You know, for my kid to see that, that'd be awesome. You know,
Yeah, my
Yeah.
kids are 15 and 17, and my son,
Jesus.
yeah, I'm older than I look, man. My
Well, your
my-
phone's a lot heavier than it looks too, because you
yeah,
threw your back out
yeah,
picking that up.
100%. It's because I'm getting old though. Yeah, he's a drummer. He actually learned here. So he's been playing since he was like 10 or whatever. But he comes out to. I was in a Nirvana tribute band for a while with Justin actually, and he came out to all those shows.
Yeah,
And
that's so cool.
And then now, you know, it was a big joke when I started playing Killbilly, because he was like, "Oh, you're gonna be in a country band. I like country or whatever." But then he started coming out to a couple shows, and he digs it, man. He comes out. Sometimes like we'll play at like Brogues or something. Not Brogues.
Irish Brigade.
O'Shea's. Yeah. We'll play at O'Shea's in downtown West Palm, and you know, he's 17. He'll be 18 actually this Sunday, and he's like, you know, do you think they'll let me in? It's like 21 and over after a certain time. I'm like, just tell him you're the bass player, son.
Yeah,
And then he'll
carry
tell him.
my
and then-
bass.
Yeah, so he walks in and he'll pick a little quiet corner and just sit there. And
Sure.
sometimes he'll just come, like he'll bring his friends. It's not like he's being forced like by his mom or something. He just comes and he sits there with his friends, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I think at some point we've got to have him up on stage with us. And
Oh yeah,
play.
for
It'd be
sure.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he would love that, man.
Yeah.
Achoo!
Yeah, right. So what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Talking of extracurricular activities, don't you make hot sauce?
I do.
That's
yeah.
pretty cool. Tell us a bit about that. I'm so
Oh,
curious.
yeah.
Well,
I love hot sauce. I'm obsessed with it.
I started growing peppers, like habanero peppers, last year, and just didn't know what to do with them. I tried for forever, like trying to figure out like the ratio to stuff, and then like mango season hit in my neighborhood, and my neighborhood has like 1,000 mango trees. And you just literally drop everywhere. Like I was walking my son in his little stroller pram or whatever, and just picking up these mangoes. And I was like reading about mango habanero. So that was kind of when I first started getting into it, and then found this kind of perfect recipe of like vinegar to water to mango, and then just started doing avocado, jalapenos. Then I did pineapple habaneros, and So we sell them at shows and stuff.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, it's fun. I mean, yeah, it's just something for me to
It
do.
was always, it's funny, there's so many parallels that cracks me up. That was always something I wanted to do, is sell my hot sauce at shows.
Yeah.
And
That's
I've done the whole thing. I've made labels before and stuff.
And like Dylan, Dylan from the Copper Tones, he does it too. And
Oh, he does? That's
oh
cool.
yeah, man. He does that in fish dip. And
Yeah,
as soon as
fish dip,
he's got his whole line of stuff,
They were on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we
They're
saw it,
cool
yeah.
guys, man.
Yeah, they're great. Dylan's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Known him
yeah.
for years. He was in a band. You probably remember them, Bungle and Botch.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were probably around
were
the same
sick.
time. They were great.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were that whole scene. It was like you guys, Killbillies, Bungle and Botch, and us. We're always kind of in the same kind of.
Yeah, we played. Do you remember we
Grouping.
played that festival in Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah.
Thingy, Everyman was on it as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, in the
that's right.
parking lot there.
Yeah, they
like
put
a-
that on. Yeah,
yeah.
And the Everymen were on top of the rafters and stuff. Like
Yeah.
that. Man, they had a fire blower.
Yeah, it was
It's like,
nuts.
man, this is like too much for me, man.
Yeah, totally. It was like all these kind of bluegrass bands like us, and then Everyman like just punking out. Yeah, it was sick. I love those guys. I've known
Yeah,
Serge a long time.
they were
too.
great.
Yeah, totally.
Are they still? They're still kind of doing
No,
it.
they're not. Serge moved to, I think, Gainesville, and the rest of the guys are doing different stuff. I don't know whether they're planning on kind of. At one point, I was in them.
Did you?
Yeah, I for about 3 months there. I played a couple of shows with them. And I was kind of like sideman.
Guitar
I was doing like accordion and mandolin stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Kind of sideman stuff.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it was a really fun little period of time actually.
Imagine.
Because I'd always prior to moving here and starting Killbillies, I was in a punk rock band called like a ska punk band called Sonic Boom 6, and that's something I had done for 10 years, for a long time before I came here. And so when I'd always kind of kept my eye on the punk scene, and the Propaganda was like a home from home for years and years, and that was where Everyman played probably the most often.
Yeah,
so,
they were great, man. They were put on a show for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Killbillies ended up bumping into them on tour at one point. We both were in Kingston at the same time and played the same gig. It was cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing like each other though. We don't have that kind of break the fourth wall crazy kind of punk thing.
One fiddle player, yeah, dude. He was just hanging off the rafters. I was like,
Yeah,
that's some crazy
it's
stuff.
so badass. Is it? The bass player. I don't know if you did it at that gig, but have you seen it where people stapled dollar bills to him?
No.
That was
What?
like
To
one of their-
him?
Yeah, it was one of their party pieces. Was
I remember they did something with the bass. I felt like they were like lighting it on fire, like putting people underneath
Yeah.
it, like a limbo thing.
Yeah.
It was crazy stuff.
It was just crazy, man. Like they used to do this thing where he'd just walk around the crowd with a staple gun. People would just be stapling dollar bills to him. I've never seen anything like it in my
Oh my
life.
God.
Well, I got to work on that one. Yeah.
Totally. So
Just keep making the hot sauce, man.
stick to the. Oh yeah, stick to the
Stick
hot
to the hot
sauce.
I'd make
Yeah.
more money.
If you're gonna branch out, fish dip.
yeah.
Not his fish though.
No.
Fish sticks with his fish.
So have you got any other sort of plans in the pipeline? Any plans to go back to Ireland or anything like that?
No, since COVID,
I mean, what's going on with Ireland and COVID right
Ireland's
now? Is it
everything's open up again.
Okay.
I think we had a thing where they couldn't come over, but now that's been lifted. So
Right.
everything's
I know that
pretty
because my mum and dad are coming in January.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
everything's pretty much wide open.
Yeah.
So hopefully summertime's the best time to go there. I mean, obviously, but like probably May to we've been probably almost every month, and May
Wow.
to September is beautiful. I mean, it's amazing, and it's tourist season.
Yeah, it is the best. I mean, summer in Ireland and the British Isles can
Yeah.
just be beautiful because the rest of the year it rains so much. It's so green. It's like
Oh, it's
insanely
great.
green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to get back over there. I mean, we
It's
love the
longest we've
people
been.
there. It's so fun, and their people are so nice, and they appreciate music, especially American music. And I hate breaking a tradition. Like 15 years in a row, we went, and then you miss a couple. It's hard to get it back sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
I
hard
hear
to get that to work that back into the
Yeah.
to the schedule. So hopefully this summer, like you said, we'll try to get over there for a little bit. And
That's awesome. I'd love
Yeah.
to pick your brains about that at some point because it'd be so cool
sure,
to have
yeah.
Killbillies get over there.
absolutely,
We'd
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
Like, it just seems like something that we need to get done. Me and Micah went to England, I think, I can't remember if it was once or two. I think it was once because I think I went a couple of times on my own. But, we did Killbillies have toured in England, but it was just right when we started and it was just a duo.
Yeah.
And it was fun, but it was kind of like all my contacts like punk rock contacts. So it was kind of like playing these kind of punk houses and squats and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and a few venues. But you know, it wasn't really as much connected with like the folk scene. So
From what I, just being in England so much, is that Ireland they love music, like any kind of music. They're just musical people.
Yeah.
England's kind of like, it's kind of a second thing, like they're
well, I
not
think
really...
it all got washed away with the Industrial Revolution, didn't it? I feel like, because England does have a folk tradition. It just got blasted away. I feel like, in the late 19th, early 20th century a little bit. But it does survive. There is a lot of folk in England, and I think it gets a little bit overlooked. There's folk clubs and there's,
Horse dancers,
yeah, that. I mean, it is there. It's just it can't compete with Ireland.
Ireland, they love all types of music.
Yeah,
American bluegrass they love, and so it's just like we literally will set up in a pub and just people just come pouring in. Everybody's gonna join into the concert too, which is great. At the end of the night, we just literally put our instruments down and like they just take over.
That's awesome.
It's almost just having a drink. You're like,
oh, that's so cool. Yeah, we got to do it.
Yeah, that
yeah,
sounds
for
awesome.
sure,
Yeah,
definitely.
If you guys went over there, what would it be instrument-wise? Guitar,
Guitar,
bass, and
banjo, and guitar, bass, and banjo. Yeah.
Who's playing
yeah, I
banjo?
mean, you slide right in there. You play anywhere with that lineup.
Yeah.
You can go to a pub and play acoustic, and they would love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Who's
cool.
playing banjo?
It's called James Galliano. I don't know if you would have met him or not. He plays with a local punk rock band called Butch and the Fat Dudes, and also with a band with Hector and Justin called Euphobia, which is like it's kind of like a strange sort of experimental kind of like punky kind of rock project. It's really cool actually. But he's a cool guy. He doesn't do music necessarily as his main thing. He runs a hair salon up in Hope Sound, but he's like if you want something done, ask a busy person. It's kind of like that, He's got so much energy. He just has enough to go around.
No, it's funny. He's a bass player. That's where he started, and then
banjo.
3 years ago or something.
He plays 5-string.
He's playing banjo, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" I'm gonna start playing banjo with Killbillies, and okay, you never touched a banjo in your life, and then
he just
suddenly
worked hard at it, and he can do it now. And which is nuts.
He's
because
really
banjo is
good.
hard.
Sure, yeah.
Really hard.
Yeah, but he took to it like a duck to water. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
He's got like the right hands for it or something. I don't know. All right. Why don't we have you guys play a couple of tunes? And I think I'm going to join you for one, right?
Oh,
and,
yeah, man.
and then we'll come back and have a little chat about what the songs are about.
Cool.
city, just on the other side. Well, I come from the city, girl, just on the other side. But that don't mean when you see me that you gotta go run and hide. We're way up in the mountains, in the valley down below. We're way up in the mountain, girl, in the valley down below. Yeah, you take me to the river, so dark, deep, and wide. Yeah, take me to the river now, so dark, deep, and wide. Gonna build me a raft and cross it, so I can be on the other side. Oh, big event. Well, somewhere down the road, there'll be nothing left to find. Yeah, somewhere down the road someday, there'll be nothing left to find. But the only way to get there is to leave everything behind. City, just on the other side. Yeah, I come from the city, girl, just on the other side. That don't mean when you see me that you gotta go run and hide.
One, two, three. Hang up your spurs in heaven, your job is done. Pour you a whiskey, now it's time for some fun. Grab you an angel and dance the do-si-do. We'll watch you ride them clouds as the wind blows. No need to plow the hay up in the sky. No need to herd them cattle, they just fly. No digging for posts or laying along barbed wire. Have everything here your heart desires. Hang up your spurs in heaven, your job is done. Pour you a whiskey, now it's time for some fun. Grab you an angel and dance the do-si-do. We'll watch you ride them clouds as the wind blows. And drinks at the bush, sure they were fun. And buggy rides at the ranch in the evening sun. Now you're at them big pearly gates, where it's happy hour all day with unlimited steaks. Hang up your spurs in heaven, your job is done. Pour you whiskey, now it's time for some fun. Grab you an angel and dance the do-si-do. We'll watch you ride them clouds as the wind blows. We sure miss that big goofy smile, heart of gold stretched a mile. We know you are there, you're everywhere. Hang up your spurs, 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 hang up your spurs. Hang up your spurs, 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 hang up your spurs in heaven.
1, 2, 3. I don't need no fancy clothes. I don't need no drugs up my nose. I don't need no $1 million ball. I don't need none of that at all. Just need a woman to warm my bed, whiskey to warm my head. Gonna pack my bags and head on down that Broward County line. I don't need no fancy car. I don't need no martini bar. Won't find me flashing my dough, sipping on a mojito. No, just need a woman to warm my bed, whiskey to warm my head. Gonna pack my bags and head on down the Broward County line. Oh, tell us about it on that board. Oh, that's it. place I belong. Drinking with my friends and we're singing our song. Gonna pack my bags and head down the Broward County line. Woke up one day with the gas station gone. Australian pines giving way to restaurants. Some faces have changed, but the spirit isn't gone. Just need a woman to warm my bed, whiskey to warm my head. Jay, what's up? My bags and head down the Broward County line. Gonna pack my bags and head down the Broward County line. That's it.
This podcast, 561 Music, is brought to you by Handlebars Bar and Grill. It is a biker bar up in Tequesta, and Tequesta is just a tiny bit north of Jupiter, and the bar's located on US 1, right on the border of Palm Beach and Martin counties. It's a really cool spot. It's for bikers, basically, but anyone can come. And yeah, we got, parking for cars on either side. If people want to come who don't ride and just check out the vibe, it's really cool. So if you're going on like a Sunday ride or something like that, it's a perfect place to kind of begin or end it, or meet with your fellow biking buddies. And the food's great. We're doing a new thing up there at the moment called Full Throttle Pizza. The place was reopened by my father-in-law, Peter Pinello. I book the music up there. We have a lot of bands play on Saturdays from 6 to 9, and we also do a bike night on the second Thursday of every month, and that's 6 to 9 as well. Sometimes it goes a little bit later. But yeah, it's a cool place. We've got great beers on tap and a whole bunch of different food. But, right now the main focus is the pizza that we're doing. So come and check it out. It's a really interesting place because it's real locals and a whole litany of characters. Very, very sort of interesting little spot. So yeah, come and hang out with us. We're open 7 days a week, and it's a good time. All right, what do you got there, Hector?
Well, we are partnering with Live Music Community, the place we're recording at now. We're doing an event called Live and Get.
It's give and let give.
Give and get give. It's not live. It's give and get give.
It's give and let give.
Yeah, give and let give. Wow, I'm terrible at this. So that's why I usually let you talk, see? So it's Sunday, December 12th. It's from 1 to 3. Basically, it's a music gear donation exchange. And how it works is kids are going to get in free.
Yeah.
Musicians 18 and over are going to donate a piece of music gear to enter. That's going to be their entry fee. Upon entry, they'll get their pick of anything LMC has had donated or any gear brought in by another guest. So the spirit of the event is to donate freely without any expectation of fair trade. However, there is some amazing gear here already. They have guitars, basses, amps, drums, stands, pedals, tuners, and more stuff. And of course, as more people give, there'll be a lot more stuff. So the idea is that to give your unused gear and young musicians in need, we'll be able to pick up some of this stuff. It'll inspire young musicians, local musicians, etc.
Yeah, man.
You and I will be here hosting and greeting guests. Any kid who picks up a piece of gear will be able to actually try the gear out right here in the studio. LMC's own Yaz from Bryce Allen Band and Alex from Products of Rage are going to be here doing an open jam session. So if anybody wants to join in with that, they're welcome to. So yeah, man, basically you come in, you give a piece of gear, you can exchange it for something else, or you can just donate the gear. And the idea is to get this stuff into the hands of kids that need it and want it, get inspired, and let's arm these kids with some instruments and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool. Justin had the idea, and as soon as he said it, I was on board. I just think it's such a nice idea. It's quite refreshing to sort of do something that isn't you know, what can I get out of it? You
Oh,
know?
100%.
Like I like the spirit of the thing, you know,
Well,
everyone giving to each other.
I'll give you a perfect example. There's some pretty incredible gear sitting out there in the hallway already, and I asked him about some of it earlier before the show, and I was like, man, you know, is this some of the stuff you had, you know, around that you don't use? Why didn't you sell it? Like, you can get a couple $100 for this, or you can get $100 for that. And he's like, yeah, but why don't I give it to kids that could use it? And
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
and that is just like that right there was the whole point of the event. Like, that's just an amazing thing. And that's what he wants to do. He wants to get other people to get inspired, bring things in that they don't use anymore. Listen, if it's just, I have a couple of basses that are lying around that I do not use ever, I'm bringing them into the event.
Right, exactly.
You know?
And it's nice that we're making this a live music community in more than name. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Actually standing by the word. You know?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
So yeah. So that'll be a good event, and we'll be talking about it from now until then.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right, so that was great. Thanks so much for letting me sit in. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
It was great, except that third guy you had a mandolin. Ooh.
Yeah, so could you tell us a little bit about what the songs are about?
Yeah.
Cool.
The one that you played on was on the other side.
On the other side, yeah. What's it about? Heck, I think I mentioned earlier it was kind of written out of necessity because we were getting into recording, and at the time I was recording the bass, and I'm not a bass player per se, so I had to keep it pretty simple. So I was actually at Quiet Waters Park. I used to go out there when my lab was getting old. I would take him out there, and it would stimulate him to walk around all the scents and stuff. And I was sitting there playing guitar, and this girl went running by. And I said hello, but she didn't even look at me to say hello or anything. She kept running, you know.
Right.
And she ran up the
Smart
path,
girl.
and in the background there was the garbage dump out there on Sample, off of Sample and Power Line there.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting by a lake, so I just used those images and kind of put the three verses together. You know, that don't mean when you see me, you got to go run and hide. She was running towards the mountain, which was the garbage dump.
That's what I was
And
wondering. The mountain.
take
That's
me
the
to the
mountain.
river was the lake, but the river sounded better in the song.
Yeah, sure.
And then there's another verse somewhere down the road, and there'll be nothing left to find. The only way to get there is leave everything behind. I guess that's for the listener, just to kind of fill in the blanks with whatever you want to, you know.
I got to say, whoever decided to call those roads Sample and Power Line did not have a poetic bone in their body.
Sample. Right?
It's a sample of a road. We'll put the real one in later.
The one that spins me out is Jog. That's such a weird name for a road. Anyway, what was the next one?
I live off of
We did Hang Up Your Spurs in Heaven, I think.
Yeah.
I wrote that
That was beautiful.
2019. My buddy Clay Humphreys from Fort Pierce, he has like a 2,000-acre property out in Fort Pierce, between Fort Pierce and Okeechobee. And so we would go out there as a band, and like we even took the Irish guys, Hermitage Green, took them out there on these huge buggies. Like they've never seen anything like that, you know. These Irish guys. First of all, there's a huge swamp buggy, and then there's just like they can shoot guns. Like they're like, this is insane.
The first time you shoot a gun when you come over is exhilarating.
I know, dude. They were so excited. Anyway, but he passed away in 2019, kind of tragically, and it was right around my birthday. So it was the 21st of July. He passed away. My birthday is the 24th, and then we had a gig, an awesome gig in Colorado.
Yeah.
It was right before John Prine's show. It was supposed to be John Prine, but he canceled. But anyway, it was Tedeschi Trucks, and so we had this awesome gig and we'd already booked the thing. I was talking to his mom and his dad, and they were like, the service is going to be here, and I was like, I had to make the difficult decision. I was like, what am I going to do? And she was like, oh, you have to go play. Like you have to go play in Colorado. Like Clay actually. We were in Ireland one year, and he surprised us in Ireland.
In Galway at the
in Galway at the
with a
Rich
big cowboy hat on.
Oh yeah,
That's
dude. This
wild.
guy comes in like
Yeah.
spurs on his heels, like he was a cowboy.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he did for a living. Yeah, he
Like
surprised
actual
us
cowboys,
in
man.
Ireland. So the whole band knows him. He's a legend. All the Hermitage guys know him. He's just. But so she's like, oh, he would be so upset if you didn't go to play your gig. And so I was like, well, what can I do to So I kind of wrote that song, and I recorded like on not an iPhone, on my iPhone, but like kind of a little bit better, and I just threw it to him to do at the service, and then we played it in Colorado too. So I felt like that kind of was my,
little tribute
kind
to
of
him.
tribute
for
to
not
him.
being
But
there.
It's lovely.
Yeah, that's
it's
nice.
just kind of what he would be doing up in heaven, just grabbing an angel and doing the do-si-do.
Yeah,
drinking
it's a
whiskey.
really
and-
lovely song.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and then like you said, I brought it to the guys. There wasn't really an ending, and then they brought the ending to it, So it's like you say, it's a collaboration always.
Yeah, that was a cool idea too. I like where it speeds up a little bit and it
Yeah,
has that, goes a bit more
yeah.
bluegrassy kind of thing. That's
Yeah.
cool. I like
Yeah,
it.
that's what, and I think Marissa was the one. Your fiance was like, it needs something there because
Yeah.
we had that slow ending, and it just people didn't know if it was done yet,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was just kind of like.
yeah.
But and then the other one was Broward County Line.
Broward
Oh,
County
that's a
line.
good time. That was cool.
Yeah, our old banjo player Dave, he came up with the hook, whiskey to warm my woman to warm my bed, whiskey to warm my head, and I think that's all we had. And he brought it over, and I think he said Mason County line. He was picturing mason jars or something like that, and I was like, well, we live in Deerfield Beach. We're at the Broward County line, and
Yeah, there you
him and
go.
I both lived in Boca before, Palm Beach County, right over the, the next county up.
Just bring
And
it down to
so,
Boca.
then I'm like, what, let's just write about us, man. This is what we know. And, Boca, things are a little different in there from Palm Beach County than Broward,
Yeah.
I don't need no fancy clothes. I don't need no drugs up my nose, $1 million ball, that kind of stuff. Fancy car, martini bar,
Yeah, cool. I like it.
So, yeah.
So it's kind of like a little bit about the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Sure.
I
yeah.
see. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And,
I think actually there's, taking something that's kind of like almost, there's some sort of country or bluegrass kind of cliches and then sort of twisting it so that it's about kind of where
for
you're
sure,
from.
yeah.
Right.
Like I've done that before in songs. I wrote a song called High on 95 that's kind of like that.
Right.
Um,
And that's
yeah,
what Tyler Childers was, his latest album. He was just saying about country music, taking the props out of it and just being real. Take the tractors
Yeah.
out, take all the solo
Word.
cups.
That's
and
what just drives me nuts. All that stuff. Like
just take the melodies that you created, but just talk about like you said, talk
Real
about being
stuff.
high on 95 or something.
yeah. No, totally. That I always say when people sort of ask me, if I like country or not, I always say I do like it, but I just don't like country that's like about country.
Right.
Like that. Like I really like country music that. Good songwriting when we're telling a story or whatever, but as soon as it's kind of like
Cliche.
you're right, exactly, just talk dirt roads, what you were saying, tractors
Props.
and your
Yeah,
truck
he
and all that
said,
crap.
what he said was they put the props before the play now. So like
Yeah.
these songs are about solo cups and getting drunk on a plane, and those were always to add to your story. There was supposed to be a story there, like a murder or a heartbreak or whatever it might be, and they're missing that story, and
Yeah.
they just have all the props, It's
Yeah.
like, and it takes the same out of it for me. I wouldn't be too into it, and
Yeah.
even when someone asks you, do you play country? Like you don't know what they mean, you mean a George Jones, heartbreak ballad, or do you mean solo cups,
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to,
yeah. It sounds like we're on the same page with that.
That's why when people ask you what kind of music do you play, you always have to consider who's asking, Like if it's it's something like this where your listeners might be music fans, you could say, okay, Americeltic pubgrass, and they might get it,
I told Hector about the pub grass thing because it kind of quite accurately describes us as well.
Right, yeah.
That's it, man. It's
Yeah,
just-
it's a good one.
And someone might say
Conglomerations.
bluegrass, and then you're like, well, bluegrass to them. The bluegrass to some people is like,
oh, man, they would laugh us off the face of the earth.
Well,
It's very
Said we're
specific.
little-
It's like quite a snobby, a risk of insulting people, and I don't mean it in a bad way. It's quite a elitist scene,
Yeah.
It's like
Oh, for
this
sure.
is bluegrass and nothing
Oh,
Well, we
else.
just went through
100%.
that this weekend where we were on the bluegrass stage. It was 3 stages, and we were on the bluegrass stage per se at this festival, and it was quite legitimately like a bluegrass act on there, and there was another
Right.
bluegrass act on there, and Ben was like, that's what a bluegrass act is, and he's like, we're gonna like shock these guys when we get up there. I mean, they loved us.
That's
I mean,
great,
they
yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
loved us.
Yeah.
We
But
played
we
that, yeah.
but we were not bluegrass. But like I always just assumed, like, okay, well, we're a bluegrass band. We're not a bluegrass band.
It's hard
And
to
after this
define,
weekend,
yeah,
I
yeah.
realized we're
I mean,
not
look
a
at a band
bluegrass
like Green Sky Bluegrass. They got bluegrass in the name, but
Yeah.
they do kind of like earthy, kind of
Yeah.
psychedelic jams, grooves, kind of like Railroad Earth or something like that. So to some people, that's what bluegrass is, and other people, they want to hear like the high lonesome sound, like Bill Monroe, and
Yeah.
We
to
should-
some people, bluegrass is if they have an upright bass, or as they say, cello. If you have a cello, you're automatically bluegrass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we showed up to the South Florida Bluegrass Association, had us come out there a couple times, And we show up and we have OJ with us with the cajon, and they're like, "Oh, you can't be on stage. It's not a bluegrass instrument." We're like, "Well, you hired us, like this is what we have to give you." And they always, we do, like you said, you blow them, they kind of are like shooken up a little bit, but they get to it in the end. But it's just funny how they have that, like you said, that elitist thing. Like they see a cajon and they're just like, "No, you can't." And it's like, "No, he's part of our band. You hired us. Like, this is what we're doing."
Yeah, the feet drums can be a bit contentious with us, but we're. I mean, I'm, not to go on about it or anything, but I'm English, so immediately it's not traditional bluegrass because I'm an English guy. So it's like I think just from that alone, it's like they're not going to hire us assuming we sound like Appalachian music, because the voice sounds different. But all right. But why don't we take a look at your violin? It's pretty cool. It's a 5-string one.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about it?
So my Uncle Billy made this, I think probably in 2010, so it's over 10 years old. But it's kind of cool. So it's got like this kind of mandolin-style fingerboard, if you can kind of see. First of all, because I'm not good enough to be up that high, so I don't need that extra little bit. Right. And then he's got asymmetrical sides. And if you look at the scroll, you can't really see it from this angle, but...
Oh, I see the asymmetrical sides now.
You have the C-bouts usually on all the sides. Yeah. So he did that. And so the top is spruce, and the sides and back are rosewood. So usually a fiddle is spruce and maple.
Right.
That's kind of the thing. And then the 5-string, so it has this low C string, like a cello and a viola. Yeah. And then...
we had Carl Schmidt on talking about his violin. He has the low string too.
Yeah, it's all the low string. And then the Raws and Dust is just from me being lazy. And then it has a LR Bags pickup in it, which is right through kind of goes through this bridge. But my Uncle Bill's been building them for about, I don't know, like maybe 10 years. He's been like 10, 12 years. And then Lindsay Pruitt from the John Stickley Trio, she lives in Asheville. Right. And she plays one of his fiddles, and she's one of the best in the business right now. So it's kind of he's kind of taken off with it.
So he makes these professionally now, does he?
No, he's just kind of retired, so he kind of does them.
Knocks them out.
Uncle Billy makes everything.
He makes everything. He makes
sailboats and planes.
Airplanes.
No joke.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing. He built his house. He's incredible. And he's an amazing electric guitar player, like I told you earlier.
Yeah. So is that on your mother's side?
Yeah, it's just weird that why wouldn't he want to make guitars, but he just loves fiddles. He loves the tone woods and like trying to figure it all out. And he's experimented with walnut and cedar and all sorts of stuff. And this one, he did a Koa one, which was awesome. But this one I love, the rosewood, because your acoustic guitar, do you have is it rosewood or mahogany?
My acoustic guitar is, I think, is it some kind of blonde wood? I guess it's like maple or something. Like
maple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the D28 is usually rosewood, like the Martin, and so he just wanted to kind of go with that, and it's really warm sounding. It's really cool.
That's super cool. I love the fact you have a family member who makes instruments.
It's pretty lucky.
Yeah, my uncle went to cabinet making school to learn how to make instruments. I don't think he ended up. I think he, at least a lot of his friends, because he's in this, I think you get a kick out of these guys. He's in a band called Blowzabella, and it's like European folk music. Sometimes it sounds a bit like klezmer music. It's sort of like dance music, but it's all for that kind of square dancing stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And that's, you were saying you sort of grew up and your dad liked Celtic music and stuff. The reason I got into it at an early age was through my uncle. He was 100% why I wanted to play folk music. But it is Celtic music, but not in the way that you think of Celtic music. It's kind of European Celtic music, it sounds quite different.
That explain the hurdy-gurdy?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I was so obsessed with this hurdy. There's this hurdy. If anyone wants to hear incredible hurdy-gurdy playing, listen to Nigel Eaton is his name, Eaton. He's just the bee's knees. Takes the cake on that thing. He's insane. He's like a virtuoso. You've never heard anything like it in your life. And so I always thought the hurdy-gurdy was the coolest thing in the world. And my first big tattoo, as a result, is a hurdy-gurdy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, all right. So, what gigs you got coming up?
we just played the Farm to Grass Festival last weekend.
I'm so jealous. We really wanted to play that.
Great time up
super
there.
fun.
Yeah, you guys
There's another
gotta get
one in
there
there in
and,
February.
you know.
So
Yeah.
And then-
I did speak to him. I think cross fingers we might get in there for that one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. We're playing the Lake Worth Bonfire
Oh, cool.
the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Right.
So and that one's really cool. They make the biggest pit on the
Right
beach,
on Lake Worth Beach. Yeah.
and we play
that's
up above.
awesome.
So that's probably our next big one with the full
When
band.
is that?
The 27th, I believe. It's the
day
Friday
after
after
Thanksgiving,
the day
yeah.
after Thanksgiving.
Oh, cool. Sounds badass.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah. So what we got going on? I'm not playing at Grandview Market on Thursday anymore, but on Friday.
Friday.
It's O'Shea's, isn't it?
That's your
It's
birthday.
my
It's your birthday.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a party down at O'Shea's from 9 to 1 if anyone wants to come
Yeah.
down. And
Everyone's invited. Shots are on
What do we
Ben.
have Friday?
that'd be so unfair. Don't even drink and have to buy everyone shots. That'd be the worst. And then on
The worst birthday ever.
yeah. Then on Saturday, my ska punk band, No Name Ska Band, we're playing that Barkback Festival, which is the festival that Spread the Dub put on every year. They didn't do it last year because of COVID, but they try and do it every year, and it is really cool. And it's for a good cause, for Dogs Home, to raise money for Dogs Home.
Peggy Adams.
Yeah,
He goes,
that's it,
He
yeah.
goes to Peggy Adams, which is a really awesome place. It's been around here for a really long time. It's done a lot of good stuff for dogs and animals as a whole. So
Yeah.
so
And
it's awesome that making the guys do that.
loads of people who've been on this podcast are playing it. They've got Sierra Lane's on it, Victoria Lee's on it.
Nice.
And my old friend Micah Scott's playing it. A bunch of people are playing it.
Yeah,
It's going to be cool.
yeah. There's a
I
ton
think
of people.
Sons of a Tradesman, Spread the Dub.
Yeah.
And No Name Scar Band managed to squeeze our way on somehow. I don't know how, but it's pretty cool. And and then on Sunday, I'm playing at Frigates.
Okay.
From 5 to 7.
Where's that at?
It's in North Palm.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that just about covers all the gigs. Got anything else gigs-wise you want to talk about?
Every Sunday we're at Tim Finnegan's,
Oh, that's a cool
Delray.
place.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of weekly gigs as a
4:30. It's really cool, kind of Irish set that we do.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That's a cool spot.
Shout
We
out to
won't
Lisa.
sing. We won't sing Black and Tans. I promise.
Oh man, I tell you what, I couldn't shake the way that made me feel after he spoke to me about it for like a week.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
My uncle probably would do the same thing, and my dad if I sang
Yeah.
that song.
And to be honest with you, it's completely understandable, and it
Yeah.
kind of taught me a lesson. So you know,
yeah.
whatever. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
great.
Yeah, it was a lot of
thanks,
fun.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's good to
And see you soon. I hope this has been awesome.
Great.
Cool.
Maybe we'll
Good
catch you on
job.
your birthday.
Yeah. Peace out.